But they did this assessment. I think it's called an ocean assessment. I could be saying it wrong, where they ask you a series of questions, and I answered all the questions. And she came back to me and she said that my score for depression was also off the charts. That I didn't quite understand, and I still don't. I was really good at putting everybody before me. Everybody else's happiness was more important than mine. Driving to my doctor's office, can't stop the tears from falling because I had gotten to that point where I couldn't do it one more day. And that it is different for everybody. And that it isn't just one thing. That it holds a lot of weight. Hello. Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good day. So winter is upon us, I see. The snow has let us know that. What my mind is blown about is Christmas is less than 3 weeks away, which means the end of 2024 is less than 4 weeks away. That's crazy. That's crazy. Are you ready for 2025? You better get ready because here it comes. So today's talk is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. Usually we have a topic to discuss. Somebody has asked me to speak about something, and I absolutely will agree to do that. And then I'll have a guest join me and we'll discuss it. Today is going to be a little different. Today, I'm going to have an intimate conversation about me. Yes, it's Let's Talk with Olu about Olu. So, where do we start? Well, one of the questions I'm asked a lot since becoming a life coach and walking away from almost 3 decades as a law clerk was, or is, aren't you scared? That must have been terrifying. And the answer is, was I scared? Yes, I was. I'm still scared. But not scared in that sense where you are paralyzed to do anything. Scared in the sense that it's the unknown. You don't have the security of a paycheck every 2 weeks. It's a you eat what you kill kind of scenario. So in that sense, yeah, you do think about those things. Outside of that, no, I'm not scared. I'm not. I am so grateful that God has given me this opportunity. I am enjoying every second of it. I absolutely love it. I believe I'm good at it. I believe that I'm affecting people, and that brings me so much joy. So, no, not really afraid of that. I'm really grateful of where I am. The next the biggest question is, how did I get here? Well, that's a longer answer than the first one. As many of you know, those that are close to me or those that attended my conference or those that have been following me on my many platforms, I was a senior corporate law clerk for almost 3 decades, over 25 to 30 years, doing a job that I loved. But at a certain point, it was no longer satisfying. At a certain point, it became more of a burden than a job. And in the midst of that, or maybe this is what caused it to start feeling like a burden, I didn't realize that I was going through burnout and stress and depression. Depression is not a word I would ever associate with me. But I was going through all those things and I did not identify. I didn't recognize that. I just kept being me. I just kept doing what I had to do, when I had to do it, how I had to do it, and I was fine doing it. If I can do it, I will do it. If I can buy it, I'll buy it. If I can pay for it, I'll pay for it. I just had no concerns. I just felt like if God gives me the strength and the heart to do it, I'm going to do it. And that was just it. I didn't realize what was happening. So what was happening? I was really good at putting everybody before me. Everybody else's happiness was more important than mine. It wasn't a conscious decision. It's not something that you sit down and plan for and orchestrate. It's just who you are. You don't recognize it as doing anything bad. You certainly don't see it as you hurting yourself. It's just, that's one of my love languages. Acts of service is one of my love languages. I love taking care of the people that I love. It was that simple. So I didn't see it as harmful at all, until it became harmful. I'll never forget that day in July, driving to my doctor's office. Can't stop the tears from falling because I had gotten to that point where I couldn't do it one more day. And that it is different for everybody. And that it isn't just one thing. That it holds a lot of weight. Whatever that it is for you, I couldn't do my it one more day. I literally couldn't. I felt like I was just going to literally hit rock bottom and not be able to get up. Then there's guilt associated with, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have to get help. I need help. And then you go to get the help and then you feel guilty. Okay, so who's going to do my job at work? And what about my mom? I am her primary caregiver. And I can't let my daughter see me like this. You know, she thinks I'm this strong black mother. We'll talk about the word strong black woman in a bit. But yeah, the guilt kicks in. I was talking to a friend the other day, and we're talking about this process of how I got to where I am and what have you. And I said to her, it's really hard to recap everything that I went through in the summer of 2022 without crying. It still chokes me up. It still brings tears to my eyes. It was a lot to go through. But I remember explaining to her the feeling of, this is so crazy, but I drive to my doctor's office. I bawl the whole way there. I get there. I stay in the parking lot to clear myself up, which I do. Stop crying because I'm not going to walk in there bawling. You know, you're strong. You've got this. You're okay. That's another thing I kept telling myself decades and decades of, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You've got this. Anyways, I go in. I go to check in. My doctor is on vacation. So she has a stand-in doctor to see her patients while she's gone. So anyways, the lady checks me in. She says, why are you here? And I said, stress. And she's like, whew, don't we all know about that? Anyways, I get called in. The doctor comes in. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. She explains that she's covering for my doctor while my doctor's away. And I have cleaned myself up. There's no more tears. And, you know, I'm good. I'm good. I'm presenting well. I'm presenting strong. And she says the magic words. So why are you here? What's wrong? Wow. The floodgates open up again. And she's like, I'm just going to leave you here for a few minutes to get yourself together. So she left. I cried some more. She came back. I explained to her what I was feeling, what was happening to me, how long I've been feeling this way. And she said, you know, I'm condensing it because it obviously went longer than that. But she pretty much said, you need some time off work. I can only give you 2 weeks at a time until your doctor gets back. When she's back, she'll assess you and she'll decide just how long you need to be off of work. Okay, but they did this assessment. I think it's called an ocean assessment. I could be saying it wrong, where they ask you a series of questions. And I answered all the questions. And she came back to me and she said, so we got the results, she said, and she says, you're definitely stressed. She says, your anxiety is off the charts. That didn't surprise me. I've always been a worrier and anxious about things, so that didn't surprise me. Even though I am a woman of God and I'm a believer, there's times where I try to solve things on my own and then reminding myself, oh, I have a father to go to. Like, you know, my Heavenly Father is there to take care of this. So the high anxiety didn't surprise me at all. Is when she said that my score for depression was also off the charts. That I didn't quite understand, and I still don't. I don't see myself as depressed. I really don't. I still have a hard time accepting that. Depressed, have you met me? I'm happy-go-lucky. Like, you know, I love to laugh. I love laughter. I love life. And then I realized, I don't think any one of us would have thought Twitch was depressed, or Robin Williams was depressed, or Kate Spade was depressed, or had any mental issues at all. and none of those people are here with us anymore. And so I thought about it. Am I depressed? I mean, I have moments where I get depressed about certain things, but am I depressed? Is that one of the words that I would use to describe myself? I still don't believe that. But in any event, I went on stress leave. I came home. I had a note that said I was off work for 2 weeks. I had called my HR manager, told her. She said, great. But before I called her, I pulled out my laptop and I'm like, yeah, I'm off work for 2 weeks. So what I'm going to do while I'm off work for 2 weeks is I'm going to clean up all of my emails at work, all the stuff that I couldn't get through, because before going on stress leave, this was a build-up over months. It wasn't just one day I woke up and I thought, okay, I can't do this anymore. I was literally what I classified as mentally paralyzed. I wasn't doing my job at work. I would log in, but I would just stare at the computer for 8 hours, literally, and then log off at 5 o'clock. So there was a build up to this, and this was going on for months. And so work wasn't getting done. It was getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And so now I'm sitting there with a doctor's note that says I'm off work for at least 2 weeks. Because when my doctor gets back from vacation, she's going to assess me, and it's probably going to be for longer. And I immediately pull out my laptop, my work laptop, and I'm like, okay, good. I'm going to go through all of my emails that I've been ignoring. And I'm going to categorize that in what needs to be done. And then I'm going to get that done in those 2 weeks. So when I come back, see, that's part of it. When I get back from being off on medical leave, then I'll be up to date with my work. I'll be caught up, and I can pick up and just start anew. That's what I thought to myself. That was my initial thought. I called HR, spoke to the HR manager to let her know that I'll be off work for at least 2 weeks, according to the doctor. I'll be reassessed when my doctor gets back, and I'll let her know if I'm going to be off longer. And she thanked me for letting her know, and she said, so I'm going to immediately turn off your computer. She didn't know I had all these plans. I have work to do. What does she mean turn off my computer? And I went, and I think she heard me. She literally heard me say that. She goes, yeah. She's like, I know people like you. You're going to pull out the computer. She had no idea the computer was literally on my lap. It was literally on, it was opened on my lap. And she says, I know people like you. You're going to pull out your computer and you're going to use this time to get caught up on your work. She's like, absolutely not. That's not what this time is for. It's time for you to get caught up on yourself, to take care of yourself so that you can come back to work better. So I'm turning off your computer effective immediately. I'm like, oh, okay. And it was a Thursday. I'll never forget. It was a Thursday. I said, can you give me till at least Monday? I have a few things I want to get to. And she says, I'm turning it off. Fine, she says, you have until midnight on Sunday. I'm like, okay. And I went into mad mode, taking care of things. And I thought I'd done everything. I woke up early Monday morning. I'm like, oh man, I forgot to check one thing. And I went into my computer to check it and I was booted out. I couldn't get in. Another thing that she told me was, I said to her, I'm going to be off for at least 2 weeks. When my doctor gets back, she'll reassess me, blah, blah, blah. You've heard that before. And she said, don't rush back. She said, I've been doing this job for a long time. A lot of people rush back for a lot of reasons. There's guilt associated with, there's a financial aspect to it because you get paid less salary when you're on sick leave. She's like, I'm telling you, please don't rush back, because if you rush back too early, what will happen is you're going to be gone again within months and it'll be longer the next time. So that's what she told me. So my sick leave started, my stress leave started on July, I want to say 29th or something like that. It was the ending of July going into August. And my first initial thought was, when can I go back to work? But then shortly after that, I just had this sense that I wasn't going to go back to work. I wasn't going to go back to that law firm. And it had nothing to do with that particular law firm. It was just that particular time. My time was up. I wasn't going to go back to work. I wasn't going to go back to a 9 to 5. I was over with that area of my life. So what next? What am I going to do next? And that's when the Lord placed life coach on my heart. He placed the conference on my heart. All of that made sense. All of that fit so well. And I just ran with it. You guys know the results of that. I had a great conference April of this year. I'm still amazed by it. I am now in the early stages of planning next year's conference. All of that has been great. So this talk today is about not only how did I get to where I am right now, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but I'm talking to people out there. I'm talking to the Olus out there that are living their lives and thinking that they're just doing everything fine. They're just doing everything that they need to do, that they can do because they can do it, and not recognizing that you're digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper into a ditch. Part of what I had to go through when I was on sick leave and the insurance companies are, they're paying you, there's certain protocols that you have to do. And one of the things is I had to speak to a psychotherapist. She was a lovely lady. I loved talking to her. One of the things I learned speaking to her was this habit of mine about taking care of other people started when I was 8 years old. It started when I was 8 years old. And I remember because my mom had the worst periods ever. I'm now as old as I am now, and I've never seen anything like it. But she had the worst. So she was always passing out. When her period was here, we had to have a bottle of Florida water available at all times, because when she went to go bathe, you're going to hear that hard thump of her body hitting the ground, and here I come with the Florida water. But she also worked. She worked hard to raise her 3 kids by herself. So yeah, I remember that was the beginning of me making sure my mom was okay. When she came from the shop, making sure there was food there for her to eat, her medication was lined up. And another thing I learned talking to the therapist is that I have a habit of borrowing emotions. So when my mom was sick and, her periods were knocking her out, then she had to have a hysterectomy so that her periods can stop because they were that brutal. I take on all those emotions. I become sad, worried, concerned, all of that stuff. I take it on. As young as I was, I take it on, and it grew with me. And as I became an adult, I still had that habit of taking on people's emotions. If I come home from work and my sister is unhappy, I'm unhappy. If I come home from work and my mom is not happy, I'm unhappy. And even when they're better, even when, whatever was bothering them is over and they're okay, I'm still in that spot of not being happy or being worried because they were. I would borrow that emotion and it would last with me longer than it would last with them. Didn't recognize any of this as a problem. I just thought that that's just the way it was. But it is a problem. And so to the Olus out there that are burning the candles at both ends, doing everything for everybody all the time, this is what the new face of depression looks like. This is the new face of burnout. This is the new face of stress. Like, we don't have to be wearing it on our sleeves, or our face doesn't have to show that we're going through a hard time. A lot of us look absolutely normal. As a matter of fact, we look happy all the time. I had a friend bump into me once in the parking lot that said, "Are you always this cheerful?" And I said, "No, I'm not. A matter of fact, I can win every acting award known to man." I choose to be happy. I love the state of being happy. There's a lot of joy in my life that I appreciate. I love that God is my protector and He's my source. So that brings me joy. I laugh in the middle of a storm. Whatever storm I'm going through, I find joy and comfort in it because I know God's got it. I'll pray about it, I'll place it in His hands, and I'll know He'll take care of it. So I am genuinely a happy person. But there's moments. There's moments of sadness. There's moments of depression. There's moments of, wow, that's a lot to carry. I'm still the primary caregiver of my mom. So in the midst of, changing careers, going from a law clerk where you have your secured salary to a life coach where you eat what you kill, that's a lot in and of itself. But I'm also the primary caregiver of my mom that lives with me. So I have to make sure I'm balancing, is she okay? Is she taken care of before I run off to the studio and do what I have to do, or before I go meet this client, or before I meet this prospective sponsor? So there's still a lot that I'm juggling. But here's what I've learned. I've learned the importance of taking care of me. I've learned the importance of saying no. I just can't do that right now. Or I just don't want to do that right now. I've learned the importance of, it's okay to be selfish. It really is okay to put yourself first. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel guilty about that. I felt guilty about my job when I went on stress leave, about my mom, about my daughter. Get rid of that guilt. That's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. We need to take care of ourselves, or else we're no good to the people that we want to take care of, that we want to help to take care of. So, one of the things I learned on this journey of mine, on my own mental health journey, is that the Canadian Mental Health Association in 2022, they said that 50% of Canadian women experience heightened stress. Compared to pre COVID, they said 50% of Canadian women experience heightened levels of stress. I think that number is a lot higher than 50% because not a lot of women are going to report that they're stressed out or burnt out or not cutting it, and or they don't even know. When you're so busy just going through the motions, taking care of your mother, if you're one of those that take care, or if you're a caregiver, taking care of your husband, then there's the kids, then you've got to work, then there's the household, then when do you have time for your friends to go out to have a cup of coffee? Some women don't even realize, I didn't realize for decades that I was stressed out. So women don't realize it because we're so used to just doing it. And here's another number for you. That 50%, although I think it's higher than that, it's even higher for African American women. It's much higher for us because for us, we have this, I don't want to say superwoman syndrome, but it's pretty much, we can do it all. We can do it all. And not only can we do it all, we have to do it all because that's how we were raised. There's no such thing as burnout and mental issues back home. It's called laziness. If you can't do something or too tired to do something, it's because you're lazy. And so we're raised with that mentality. We raise our daughters the same way. And we create a generation of women who don't think it's okay to take care of themselves. And the cycle continues. So I believe there's a lot of women walking around right now as I'm speaking, not recognizing how burned out they are, how stressed they are, how depressed they are. They're just going to keep going and going and going and going. And they're going to wake up tomorrow morning and hit the restart button and do it all over again. So how do we correct that? I talked a bit about the issue, about how it's a progressive thing that just kind of builds up that you don't even recognize. You're just doing it because you're superwoman. So what do we do about it? How do we correct it? Obviously, the first step is to recognize that you are burnt out. And I would say almost every single woman, if not every woman, has a level of burnt out in them. Because we do a lot. We do a lot. So we have to first identify how much we're doing, how much is on our plate, and what can we take off of our plate. One of the things that I was horrible at, still not good at it, but getting better, is delegating. I have this, I'll do it. No, leave it, I'll do it. No, just leave that there, I'll wash that plate. Like, I still do that to this day. We have to learn to delegate. If you have kids in the house, and I don't care how young they are, I should say, except of course if they're an infant. But if you've got young kids in the house, you can delegate garbage duty. You can delegate putting away their toys. It's small steps, but they're important steps. They may seem like small steps, but they're very important steps. Try delegating. If you have one of those husbands that, I don't know, doesn't like to do much around the house. I'm not married, so I can't talk about that, but I'm just saying if you do, make sure he carries his weight. I don't want to hear, oh, but he works all day long and I'm home with the kids, so when he comes home, the house has to be clean, food has to be ready. Women, and not just women, people have to stop downgrading stay-at-home moms. That is not an easy job. That is not an easy job. So you can't say, oh, I was just at home all day while he worked all day. No, girl, you were at home chasing two or three kids, cooking, trying to keep the house clean, trying to keep yourself sane. That's a tremendous job. So don't downplay it and don't let him off the hook because he was out there working. Delegate. Take some things off of your plate and give them to others. Take a day for yourself. I know it's a little bit unrealistic to say you can take a day a week for yourself. So maybe 2 days a month, maybe even once a month. Just take a day for yourself where you can walk away from everything, take a deep breath, decompress, just spend time with you. I have a friend that said once she grabbed her Bible, checked into a hotel, and just stayed there overnight and just talked to God. I have friends that would walk down to the water with their Bible in hand, just be near God and near the water. Just find something to do. I know some women in their house will lock themselves in the bathroom just to have that time to themselves. Find a way to spend some time with yourself. It's not selfish, it's vital. You have to do this. I didn't know I had to do it until I had to do it. You don't want to wait till you get to that place. Go for a drive. I'm just trying to think of all the different things that you can do where you're spending time with yourself, where you're giving yourself time to catch your breath before you come back into the craziness that's your world. I mean, COVID taught us a lot. I believe that that was God's message to us about how tired everybody was and how crazy our lives had gotten. So I'm really happy that I have the opportunity now to do something that not only is helping me with my mental health, but can help others. You know, I can tell you what it's like. I can tell you what it looks like and what it feels like. And it doesn't look like what you think it does. It looks like me. It looks like you. So that's what my platform is all about. Prioritizing self-care, putting your mask on first, taking care of yourself. If you want to be the best mother to your children, the best wife to your husband, the best daughter to your ailing parents, you can't do any of that. You can't accomplish any of that if you're not well. You're just always 1 second, 1 minute, 1 day away from passing out, from saying, I can't do it anymore. That's how I got there. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not too late to recognize, that sounds like me. Now, what I'm worried about is the ones who are listening and they don't think it sounds like them, but it does. But it does. Those are the ones I'm thinking about. And if you are a working woman, as I was, full-time job, lived in Whitby, worked in Toronto, so that's go train to work and navigating that, then working, 8, 9, 10 hours, go train back home, navigating that, then coming home and doing all the things that I described. That's a whole nother level of burnout. Somebody in that scenario somewhere is losing out because you cannot give 100% to your employer and 100% to your family and your household because you don't have that much in you. Nor is it fair to expect you to. So this is a new world. This is a new day. Let's start taking care of ourselves. Let's start putting our mask on first. Let's start making sure that we have enough oxygen to breathe so that we can take care of the people sitting beside us. There's so many programs out there now, so many conferences, women's networks, so many different things to join. Find something for yourself. Don't become the next Olu. Don't wait until you're driving. And I was talking to my friend that same conversation. I thought to myself, I didn't even realize the danger of driving myself to the doctor's that day. Because it was through a just buckets of tears emotionally. I should not have. Thank God for that. Thank God for protecting me and others on the road that day. I was in no emotional state to do that. So don't hide behind the mask of, but I laugh all the time. I'm happy all the time. Life is good all the time. That could be true. But have an honest conversation with yourself about how you're feeling, about how much is on your plate, and what you can do about it. I know what it looked like for me, but I know how long it took me to see that. I didn't see it either. I couldn't have had this conversation with myself 10 years from now, 10 years ago. I wouldn't have seen it. I would have thought it's not a big deal. It is what we do, isn't it? That's what we do. It's not a big deal. I have to do this and I have to do that. Oh, other people have done more with less. Women back in the day used to do this and that, and we always have an excuse as to why it's not a big deal. I sure did. It wasn't a big deal. I have the strength to do it. I have the heart to do it. I don't mind doing it. I enjoy doing it. I had all the classic excuses. It caught up with me. It caught up with me. This is the most honest and raw and authentic I can be about how it is I am where I am today. But again, for me, what I went through was necessary to be where I am now. If you believe that God has already gone ahead of us and prepared the end, then this is just part of my journey to get to what God has prepared me for. I am a better life coach. I am a better keynote speaker. I am a better motivational speaker because of what I went through. I can listen and I can hear. And the important thing about listening, because that's what we do as coaches, we listen more than anything else. The important thing about listening is I'm not listening necessarily to what you're saying. I'm listening to what you're not saying. There's certain things that you're not going to be saying that I'm going to pick up on. So don't wait until you're my age before it all hits you and you just feel like the world's coming to an end. It's so weighty. It was so emotional. It was so hard. The guilt. That was so crazy. Don't wait. See what you can start doing now to lift yourself up, pick yourself up, and not find yourself in that pitfall. Have a spa day. And a spa day doesn't necessarily mean leaving your house and spending a lot of money at a spa day. A spa day means you say to your husband, I'm going in the bathroom for a couple of hours. Don't knock on the door. Make sure the kids don't come anywhere near the bathroom. Go in there with your favorite music, light some candles, take a bottle of champagne, wine, whatever. Take a book and have a spa day in your bathroom. These little things can be such a comforting tool in taking care of yourself. I wish I had done those kind of things. I was so busy running around. And you have to ask yourself at some point, and I've asked myself this at some point, what's the payoff? What was the payoff of doing that? Is it truly simply that's just who I am? What's the payoff? So if you're wondering, are you still like that? Yes and no. Certain habits are hard to break. So I do love to service people. I do, because I love the people around me to be happy. And if I can do anything to make them happy, I'll do it. But I have learned to not overdo it. So if you invite me somewhere, I used to have this habit. Another bad habit I had was I never said no. Hey, Olu, you want to go out for dinner on Thursday? Sure. Hey, Olu, I'm having this event on Saturday. Want to come? Absolutely. And I would buy tickets for events. I would say yes to this dinner invite. I would say yes to this party invite. And then I would go home and I'd be like, I'm exhausted. I can't go on Thursday. I'm really, really tired. This week has been really stressful, but I've now committed myself to going. And so I would drag myself and go. That was the old me. So what I do now is, and people are probably tired of me saying, no, I can't go to this event or no, I can't go here. But I say no. I say, you know what? I would love to, but I can't. Maybe the next one. Or I can't go on Thursday because I'm doing my live. Or I can't go for the whole day because I have to make sure my mom's okay. So if it's an all day event, maybe I can pop in at the end for the 2 hours at the end. But I've learned to do that now. I've learned to say no a lot more, even to my mom. Now that took some time because if anybody there watching is African, you know what I'm dealing with. So that took some time. But eventually I had to say to her, yeah, no, I don't want to do that right now. Oh, but I really, really need it. No, you don't. I really, really need to rest. So no, I'm not doing that. I'm not making that call for you right now. I'm not digging that thing up for you right now. No, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to relax. That took some doing, but I've gotten to the point where I can look at my mom and I can say, no, not doing it. Not right now, or not today. So yeah, those are kind of the things that I'm doing to make sure I don't end up back where I was 2 years ago. I'm taking care of me. I'm putting my mask on first, making sure I have enough oxygen to breathe before I take care of anybody else. My daughter's 29. She's absolutely fine. You know, my mom lives with me. I do the best I can taking care of her. She'll be fine. So now this is my turn to take care of me and to make sure I'm happy. But part of what makes me happy is taking care of others. I just have to there has to be boundaries. There has to be boundaries. There has to be limits to taking care of others. There has to be limits to how much of myself I give to make others happy. So if anybody out there is experiencing that, reach out to me. DM me, message me, email me, just reach out to me. But take care of you. Take care of you. So I have this bottle of non-alcoholic drink from made by a lady named Sophia Bishop. It's called Talk, which made me laugh because you all know my platform is Let's Talk. But what I liked about it the most, I like everything about it. I like the bottle. I like the fact that the cap comes on and off. I like the color. I like the taste. But behind each label is a message. I don't know what the message is. So I'm going to open this and pour a little bit more of this drink that we already had some, Shireen and I. I'm going to pour some out and I want to see what the message is. I want to see if it's in line with what I'm talking about today or not. So let me just pour some and see what the message is. The message is, I'm only responsible for what I say, not for what you hear. I like that. That's that whole broken telephone syndrome. You say one thing, but by the time it gets to somebody else, it's a completely different thing. You can only be responsible for the words that came out of your mouth, not what somebody else says that you said. So that was me just having an intimate conversation with Olu about Olu. I hope that whatever I've said has reached some of you and is causing you to think, to sit back and say to yourself, oh my, that sounds familiar. Or can that be me? Just think about that. Think about that and think about, okay, what steps can I take? I know what it was like for me. I know it was not easy. Being selfish is not an easy thing for me. I'd rather go without than not do for others. But the price that I had to pay for that was very high. So be honest with yourself. Have an honest conversation with yourself. Or have an honest conversation with your partner if you think you're doing too much. And all it takes to know that you're doing too much is for someone to say it. Boy, you do a lot, don't you? And then, true to form as women, we're going to wave it off. Oh, no, 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 it's okay. But I was doing a lot. I still am. Who am I kidding? I still am, but I have boundaries now. I have limits now. I will say no to functions. I will say no to events, which is hard because as you're starting a business, you want to be out there. You want to promote your brand. And um, the best way to do that is actually to literally put yourself out there. But you can't go to everything. So you got to pick and choose and be very selective. So that's hard too. Juggling that, navigating that, that's hard too. Who do you say no to? Who do you say yes to? Who are the right business partners? Who are not? You know, you have all those to navigate as you're building your brand. But just be intentional. Be fair to yourself. Be good to yourself. Take care of yourself. Be honest. Be honest. It's not your job to do everything and to be everything to everyone. You are so important to you. So I recognize the importance that I am, and the only way I can be the best mother to my daughter and the best daughter to my mother is I have to be well. I have to be well. I have to take care of me. And that's what I've been doing. I hope you all do the same thing. I hope you take some time in the next couple of days just to sit down and have a really honest conversation with yourself and or your partner, and be honest and vocal about what you need, about how your partner can help, and with yourself, certain things that you can take off of your plate, that you can maybe delegate, or you can do without, or you can just completely eliminate off of your plate. Either way, take care of yourself. Be good to yourself. Be honest with yourself. You don't want to be Olu. You don't want to get to that point where you are hyperventilating and you can't breathe. And yeah, you don't want to get there. Thank you for listening. Yeah, this has been this has been as raw as I've been for the longest time. But it's real. It's me. This is me. This is Olu. So if you recognize yourself in me, it's not too late. It's not too late. Take care. Have a great day. Be careful on those icy roads. And I will see you again. Bye for now.